gives me cause to be truly troubled, and it gives me the reason for sober reflections. I've seen scriptures where viper, the snake that is popularly known in the north as Gobe de Nisa, will latch out of a tree, out of woods, and cleave to the hand of a man, the man Paul, and deposit quantum of blood in his poison in his bloodstream. The villagers went to start digging his grave. They were persuaded that any moment from now, we will begin to see the signs, the swelling, the profuse sweating, and then the congestion in breathing difficulty, and then you begin to, have blood coming out of your nose, your ears, and then you die. But they were watching him, and he shook the snake into the fire and continued gisting them about Jesus. And when they saw that this thing did not play out as they wanted, they said, the gods, are we together? The gods now live among us. They said, you are not a human being. What we are seeing in front of us here is a God. And they're not lying. Because our designation, our role, what was bequeathed us from the realms of eternity, is to operate in this world as gods, to defy natural laws, to raise the bar of impossibilities and change status quo so that it is impossible until you showed up. But the truth is, we have fallen so much, and we have been introduced to generations and generations again of the fall, so much so that the natural orientation of the man is impossibilities. You don't even know that we can actually surpass many of the limits that have been set for us. When you look into families, you look carefully into various groups, you will see that Satan is deliberate about securing a space for himself. He knows that the weapons of God will show up. He knows that man is God's strategy for illumination and for intervention. So before God will take a move, he wants to secure a place. And that's why he labors to have a prospering altar of iniquity across families. So that before you are born, there is already a ruling culture of sin in your space or in the family that you'll be born into. There are places where the great-great-grandfather is a womanizer. He has an untamed appetite for lust. The grandfather is also a strange man as it pertains to women. Your father, although he gave his life to Jesus, but you can see the struggles that buffeted him. And once upon a time, you heard stories that did not in any way align with a person who truly served God in faithfulness. And you saw that there were possibilities for the fall all along the time around his life, and compromises littered everywhere. Now you are seeing that your own life, there's an appetite, a drive, an unusual hunger to fraternize with those particular altars of sin. You see, what you are contending with is your darkness. This is the particular darkness that is deployed to man, not for territory. It was kept in that place in order to resist God's ordination upon his people from finding expression. It was kept there because they know that a time will come when somebody like you will show up. And when you show up, the first thing you will need to struggle with is the warfare that your ancestors have continued to fight. And you too, you will receive your own copy of the same place, the same fate, the same ancient struggle that has buffeted men before you. So you may be born into a family where people have unusual proclivity for anger. When they get angry, they undo labors of many years. And you hear people saying things like, this one, now our family own. You see, families are also known with particular areas of compromise. There are families where everybody who gets married, in case you even got married, you must return back to your father's house. Whether you try and you labor and you're able to cross maybe 10 years, 15 years, before you say, praise Master G, you see yourself in your father's house. Somehow, there's a protocol that is set in place to recreate that outcome in every generation. And so if you are actually not vested with the prerequisite knowledge of the darkness that is for man, the one that is a follow-come, the one that is waiting for you in your bloodline, this one is not the culture of sin over your territory yet. There is, I told you in Isaiah 60 verse 2, behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. Now, you see, this darkness that covers the earth, they are not planning you in that one. They are only trying to shape culture with it. They want to shape a ruling culture of iniquity, so that just in case you are holy and you find yourself living in such an environment, it will be practically impossible to hold on to the altar of consecration in the midst of this kind of corruption. This was the cry of Isaiah. He says, I am unclean and I live among a people. So there is a darkness that he claimed as me, I am unclean, but there is also an uncleanliness that is around the people that I live among. Are we together? And so this darkness that is in your space, it has capacity to influence you, but the darkness you should even fight first is the one that is inside you. You have no business trying to fight the darkness without, when the darkness within still dominates your soul. That's the easiest way to become a hypocrite. You can see that there is a warfare waiting for you. Brother, you see that ungodly, insatiable appetite for sex and immorality. Believe me, it's a warfare. It's a battle generations before you could not win. It was responsible for bringing a script of shame into their ordination. They lived righteous. They try to hold to the... I have heard stories that got me very, very surprised. People who have built a track record of integrity, of morality, of discipline. Then you just hear, after they have lived building credibility, you just hear suddenly, sometime around age 50, age 65, now that you are entering your legacy phase, where you are supposed to be thinking of the pattern you are leaving behind, where you are supposed to be thinking of what you will be remembered for. That's where a man will go and do something that will ruin his integrity. I won't call his name. He's a very renowned apologist in the Christian space. Known across different Christian groups. His books littered many Christian libraries. The year that he died, that same year, a mistress came out. This is a man that if he's teaching, you can sense purity palpable in him. You can sense detachment from the world. You can sense self-denial. You can see that his heart, his affection is not with anything in this world. He loves the Lord. But the devil just needed a stain on that white garment. I told you before that the world will never forgive you. They already hate you. I shared with us on Tuesday, for those who were around, part of the prophecies for those who will truly be followers of Jesus. He says, you shall be hated of men. The nations will hate you. Just in case you have your own style of Christianity that is loved by the world. Sinners love coming around you. Hi. The ungodly sister, the ungodly brother, he can come and sit down, receive the message, and go out and be happy and say, I like this church. Now my church with this. So the only thing you did was to excite them. Meanwhile, the gospel is not just an educational infrastructure. The gospel is a platform for transformation. The Bible says the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of, it has the capacity to replicate itself on your life. That thing you heard, it says it's like a prophecy released over you. Although it's a teaching, but it can become a prophecy that can now happen in your own life. It can recreate that result in your own life. The words that we speak unto you, they are spirit. This is the difference between the gospel and textbook. You can be reading the Bible and reading other books while you are getting illumination, cognitive knowledge, cerebral expansion in other books. For the gospel, there is a spirit that actually engenders transformation that follows the gospel. So the gospel is not just an educational infrastructure. But this is where Satan comes. His place is to make sure your darkness continues to dwell on your inside. Then you will be trying to be a part of those who claim we are fighting darkness that covers the earth. So before you know it, you will say, hey, why is this girl dressed like this? The reason why you are pointing on is that dress that you see her dressing. She is helplessly a victim of a territorial initiative of darkness. There is a prince that wrote what fashion is. There is a prince that wrote what attraction will be for a civilization. There is a prince that inspired what attraction, what fashion will be. For our generation, you are not fashionable until you are seductive. There must be seductive detail ministered into that particular dress for our generation to say you are beautiful. Sometimes it amazes me. People look at a human being that they are supposed to go and buy wrapper and cover quickly. They say, you are looking magnificent. You are hot. You are hot. You are hot. And the more the material become smaller and smaller, the more beautiful we become in our eye. I was going somewhere. I won't call the name of the region for those following us online. From the airport, I realized that as the car was carrying me to the place of our minister, as the car was heading into the city, that's how the length of skirt was going up as a car. When we read the church, the person leading service, as she did her hand like this, you know, if you do like this, your skirt will be down. What I saw, I now looked at the faces of the other men inside the church. All of them were connected. I'm the only one that is connected. So I found out that it's because I live in the north. You see, in the north, our normal dressing is conservative in nature. You don't need to be righteous. You just look like you are holy. If you carry an average northern lady and take her, just carry her and put in that region, people will run to you and say, woman of God, please. There's a dream I had last night. You have not even said you are a pastor. As you enter, they'll say, these are holy men. I found out that the holy sisters in that region, their skirt is here. Meanwhile, in Kaduna, this skirt, this length of skirt, you are not born again. Do you know what is contending with them? Darkness that covers the earth. That one, everybody is now used to it. It's no longer a crime in their own space. The only person that has a problem with it is the stranger that came there, me. So I asked the Holy Ghost, do you know these people? He said, just mind your business, minister, and leave. So it means I could choose now that I want to open a correction ministry. And what I'll be doing, I'll be fighting the body. Because what they are helplessly under, they are helplessly under the darkness that covers the earth. These princes, they write laws, they write cultures, they inspire the way of life of the people. So much so that you can be walking in rebellion and it will not even be like rebellion to any of you anymore. Because it's now high. See, there are regions you enter, you will see certain compromise that are so predominant. It is so popular that if you are not doing it, you are the strange one. That's why we travel with our own atmosphere. There is a way you enter some region from the airway. Your spiritual potential will change. You will know that you have entered the domain of another prince. There are places you enter. In the air, I'm not talking about land yet. In the air. Over maybe sometimes 35,000 feet above sea level. In the air, you will just start feeling like you are a failure. Like, what have you achieved? Like, look at how your life is just numbers counting. Only age is mammon in the air. That one is welcome to my space. You are highly welcome. That's what he told you. He will bring you into a consciousness of, see, you don't know where Prince is buying the soul from. His energy is trapped in spaces. As you enter that space, the energy will summon you like incense and say, come and worship. It was me and James. Where's Pastor James? We went to a particular place in the afternoon, not at night. Prostitutes arrange themselves in the afternoon. These ones, they were not facing you. They were displaying their merchandise to you like so. You don't like the